We have just been told that Mr. Arredondo is not going to be here because he doesn't feel safe. And I'm going to sit here and say that nobody has threatened him. Do not take this into closed sessions. We deserve to hear. Our babies are dead. Our teachers are dead. Our parents are dead. The least y'all can do is show us the respect to do this in the public.
You just watched a meeting that was taking place in Uvalde, Texas, and there was supposed to be a decision about whether or not Pete Arredondo, the head of police for the school district, should keep or lose his job. And while he didn't even bother to show up to the meeting, the school board did in fact vote to fire Arredondo from that role. Now, Pete Arredondo, of course, is the individual who is taking the majority of the blame following a terrible police response to a mass shooter at Robb Elementary School. That was a shooting that led to the deaths of 19 elementary school students and 2 teachers. And here's what we know about the outcome of the meeting and also how Arredondo has decided to have his attorney put out statements that make him look like an incredible coward. Now, the board made its decision in a closed session meeting lasting nearly an hour and a half. Several members of the audience applauded after the decision was announced. One person was heard repeatedly shouting, "We're not done." Now, as I mentioned, Arredondo didn't even bother to show up to this meeting. And instead, he had his attorney put out a 17-page statement. And we have a few excerpts for you in the statement, which came less than an hour before the meeting started. Arredondo's attorney, George Hyde, argued that a letter from the district suspending him without pay does not count as an official complaint required by law to consider termination. He also wrote, and this is directly from the letter, Chief Arredondo will not participate in his own illegal and unconstitutional public lynching and respectfully requests the board immediately reinstate him with all back pay and benefits and close the complaint as unfounded. And also in this statement, Hyde says that the chief was not notified between June 22nd and July 19th of a school district investigation that was done in regard to his job performance and failures in responding to an active shooter on the campus of Robb Elementary School. In response to that, George Hyde also says the district cannot withhold its information for months, present only that which they find supports the superintendent, and then disclose it without a reasonable opportunity to review it and the opportunity to discover impeachment or optional completeness evidence. And as I mentioned, Arredondo is a massive coward because he purports that the reason why he didn't show up to this meeting is because he was afraid of violence against him. Apparently, he's been getting death threats. And so Chief Arredondo, according to the attorney's letter, does not believe the planned district meeting is safe and is certainly not going to appear without exercising his state rights to be armed unless the school district discloses in writing its safety protocol to ensure Chief Arredondo's life and the lives of those in attendance, including both the board, its superintendent, and the media. And so remember, this letter was sent to them less than an hour before the meeting even began. So if they would actually take the letter seriously and comply with it, they really had no time to even do that. That wasn't even an option.
Okay, so let's clarify one thing first, and then I'll tell you how absurdly guilty Arredondo is, at least in terms of the perceptions here. So number one, he's not a scapegoat. Because scapegoats are innocent and get scapegoated by the people who are guilty. He's a fall guy. The difference is the fall guys are oftentimes guilty, but they take the fall for everyone else in the system, okay? So Arredondo is perfectly guilty. He was part of the people that were there. He was a commanding officer at Uvalde, and he was part of the cowards who decided not to go in because they thought their lives were more important than the kids. Period. That's obvious. That's obvious to the left wing. Finally, that's obvious to the right wing. That's obvious to every wing. Okay. So I wanted to make that clarification. Now, get a sense of the entitlement he has as a cop in this country. He thinks, well, I don't even have to note the irony that I'm telling you in hearing about whether your kids were safe or not safe with me in charge, that I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. I mean, the hearings about how I let someone kill your kids, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about my safety. But actually, that was the problem in the first place, Arredondo, that you were so worried about your own safety that you didn't go in the building to save those kids. How do you not notice that irony? And you don't notice it if you're living in a world of entitlement. And this one has nothing to do with race. It just has to do with, in this case, the profession. Every cop in the country is told 1,000 times over that their lives are more important than the citizens. Better to be judged by 12 than carried out by 6. Do not ever, ever endanger yourself. I mean, look at the lengths he goes to here. In a part that of the letter, he says, unless the school district discloses in writing its safety protocol to ensure Chief Arredondo's presence, Arredondo's life, that he will not come.
Yeah.
Wait, how about the safety protocols that you had in writing saying that you were supposed to go and save the kids? Now you're worried about safety protocols in writing. I mean, Jesus Christ, how do you not see it? And he doesn't. I mean, he's both an idiot, to be honest, because I mean, now you've had all this time in the national spotlight and you still haven't figured it out. But generally, it's because cops think my security is 1 billion times more important than all of yours.
So his reaction is unsurprising to me. And this is the reason why when we talk about instances of extreme police brutality and the police get to enjoy impunity, there are no consequences for what they do, even if it's caught on tape. One of the consequences of that is it sends a message to bad cops all throughout the country that they get to do what they want and they don't ever have to worry about consequences. So his reaction is actually pretty normal and rational given the precedent this country has set in regard to police malpractice or police doing their jobs poorly. He's probably shocked that he is the fall guy. He's probably shocked that he is suffering some consequences for the fact that he was in charge, but he certainly didn't act like it, and even stopped some of the officers from going into the classroom when they were trying to get in there and do away with that shooter. And so again, I think it's important to understand the culture that we've built in this country when it comes to policing, the message that we've sent to police by allowing them to get away with what they've gotten away with in the past, even in cases where they shoot and kill unarmed people who are running away from them. And so, yeah, there's that. The other thing I wanna mention is, listen, Cenk, Arredondo wasn't gonna show up no matter what. There's a reason why that letter was sent to the school board less than an hour before the meeting started. He didn't want to be confronted by the parents who lost their little kids in this shooting, little kids who could have been saved if Arredondo stepped up to the plate and actually acted the way a leader should act in a situation like that. So it's just an excuse, and he looks like a coward and he looks pathetic either way. But there's no way he was going to show up at that meeting no matter what, even if there were armed guards ready to protect him at all costs.
Yeah, so I mean, look, one more on the irony, and then I'll tell you what I think is happening. So Arredondo says, well, I can't go in there unarmed, then I wouldn't be safe at all. Why? Don't you have police protection in the town? So you have such little faith in your own department's abilities to protect anyone that you're worried that if you're unarmed for a second, the cops will not come in to save you. I mean, God, Jesus, giant neon blinking sign of irony. And he just can't get it through his thick skull. Okay, so now what's happening here? Now look, partly, of course, he's just trying to protect himself. If he goes and says things in public that might be used against him, maybe even in a civil or criminal trial. So that's clear, right? But brother, right now, you are the fall guy. If you weren't primarily responsible, you got to get out there and defend yourself. And by defending yourself, how? Don't give us this cop talk that none of us are interested in. Well, I mean, I didn't want to endanger the lives of my officers. They were just little kids. Who cares? They haven't lived that long anyway. Now, if you do that, yeah, then you will get more enraged. But if you point out that there were 19 different departments there, and there were officers that ranked much higher than you there, and they also didn't do anything, well, that's something that's interesting. But my guess, now this is a guess, Anna, is that the Abbott team and all the Republicans and all the cops in Texas are saying, hey, listen, if you step out of line and blame any of the rest of us, it's gonna be off with your head and we're not gonna protect you at all. But as long as you're a good boy, okay, and you don't throw any of us under the bus and you keep lying about or just not talking about our involvement, the fact that we were all there and there were hundreds of us there from all those different departments. If you shut up about that, we'll be on your side. Will they actually? No, at the end, of course they'll throw him under the bus. He just doesn't get it.
So to be fair, I mean, obviously there's been an investigation into the police response. And while Arredondo certainly is getting most of the negative attention, the report showed an overall lackadaisical approach by the 376 local, state, and federal law enforcement officers who responded and were at the school. So there's an official report making it abundantly clear that it wasn't just Arredondo who's a problem, right? So, I mean, your theory is interesting. He certainly hasn't lashed out on any other specific individuals, but the fact remains that this isn't a one-person problem. The overall police response to that active shooter in that elementary school was a disaster, and it debunks the main talking point we hear from right wingers when it comes to doing nothing about gun control and just arming teachers or ensuring that there's an armed guard on every campus. There were 376 cops on the scene. They were there before he was there. Some of the cops were there before he was there. Some of them saw him running into the school with his weapons. One of them had the opportunity to shoot him or stop him, and they didn't do it. So again, that fact remains, and it's really important to not just think that this is a one bad cop situation.
All right, my last point is actually one of our members. They made this a while back when we were talking about this issue. They said 376 of any profession, put them outside of a school in a situation like that. 376 dentists, 376 accountants. It doesn't matter, pick any profession you like, and they go into the building to save the kids. The only profession that doesn't is cops. Think about that, and you'll know exactly what's wrong with the policing system in this country.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.